Hello and welcome back to Inquisitor Martyr. Last time we went to get Grexis and help the Harlequin a bit more. And now we have to find the Savant. Okay, I know where we are in the story.
And now comes the hard part. You will need to make these unworthy Imperial subjects reveal the location of the Savant.
I don't have time to deal with prisoners and interrogate.
Be careful, Inquisitor. The Argus shows several patrols moving around in the target area.
Yeah, I had to think where the story is at this point. But yeah, the Savant, this is an interesting story beat. I saw recently Behavior Interactive acquired some British studio. If you don't remember Behavior, they're the guys who screwed up Eternal Crusade and managed to make Dead by Daylight, and have been coasting on that for a while. Don't really have much to say about, well, I'll probably have a decent amount to say as I say it, but not much to say at the immediate moment regarding them getting a new studio.
And the whole area will go up in flames.
I'm not gonna sit here and go, this means they could maybe get another chance at making Eternal Crusade, they might revive it. No. I think they are absolutely done with that idea. When they shut the servers down, they full-on abandoned it. And even if they did bring it back, I don't know if people would trust them. Like, I don't know if I would trust them. Just being real with it. Because it's like, yeah, they could do well, or they could just screw up again. I haven't seen them do anything to give me the confidence to say, yeah, they deserve a second chance. All they've done is Dead by Daylight. To me, that's not really much to go off of.
Data is fragmented. Crypto litanies are remarkably well versed for those unskilled in the tech mysteries.
Can you decipher it?
A larger sample would exponentially lower the estimated time cost of the procedure.
So much for a surgical strike. I will clear the areas and access the other hub.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, but the studio that they acquired, I've never heard of them, so they're either relatively new indie or they're a mobile studio. It's usually how these things go. I'm not too eager regarding either or, because if they're super indie, that means they're more or less untested. If they're a mobile market game or mobile studio, then it's mobile game stuff, and I really don't care. But it does show that this whole the Great Acquisition Wars, it's essentially affecting everyone. It's not just Sony and Microsoft having this little bidding war, it's everyone who has any degree of extra income is tossing it at another studio. And I don't necessarily fault them for it. It's just worrying, like always. Because that doesn't necessarily mean good things come out of an acquisition. We've seen that time and again where, yeah, there's an acquisition, but IPs remain stagnant. Essentially, it's just to buy out competition, which doesn't help anyone.
If I can't silence the alarm, I'll face the
And that is a shame, because at least if they were doing something with it, that'd be cool, but they're not. Which reminds me of other stuff where people aren't doing anything with it. The Secret World, I got back into watching stuff for that again. Because every so often I just get dragged back into that game because I miss it so much. Everything about it was so good. The props that you would pick up weren't just like, oh, here's a note from the captain. It's just perfectly written out. It was an actual, like, scanned in piece of paper, or at least artistically done piece of paper with ink written, like words written in ink that have been water damaged. And it's little things like that where it feels like you're actually investigating. And I miss that game. And then having Funcom just be like, yep, we own the rights to it, we just don't care. It just kills me. That game had, and still has, infinite potential. But they're so focused on, like, Conan Exiles, which I find funny because, realistically, the money you can make off of Conan is far less because you're selling flat cosmetic packs. Like, now they're doing... God, what is it? They're doing battle passes for Conan, which that's the first survival game I can think of that's decided to go with battle passes, but sure, whatever. I guess that's an option. And I don't know, I don't vibe with it. They could do so much with Secret World, but instead they'd rather do nothing with it.
Still no data on the location.
And it sucks, because I love that game. Just the city, or like the town of Kingsmouth, with the zombie outbreak and all that, it's so cool. And these days we've seen games like Destiny have shown you can do a first-person pseudo-MMO. You could still do a first-person MMO and have it Secret World. That would be so fun. Plus, it would help differentiate the game from every other MMO, where it's just like, oh, all your items are in a long list of... Or like, all your abilities, there's this long Fisher-Price keyboard at the bottom of your screen. So you just hit all of them and wait for a cooldown. Like, nah, make it more involved combat. Yeah, you can have the... I'd probably stay away from the glowing effect on the ground to say, hey, get out of the ring, or the AoE will kill you. But you could still do that. You could have so much. It's such a cool game. I love that Lovecraftian horror. Hell, there's a guy on YouTube who did like a 12-hour no commentary playthrough of the game. He doesn't get to, like, I think Egypt or the Transylvania areas, but he's just going through just like Kingsmouth. And I just love watching it. Because it's so cool, and they did so many good design choices. Like having... You have a mission where it's like, oh, zombies are attacking the survivors in the town. Go fight off the waves. But then when you're done, the game isn't like, oh, hey, you finished it, congratulations. They sat down and go, oh, now you have to go find the source of the zombies. And there's a boss at the end who's been summoning and sending the zombies. Stuff like that's so cool, because it takes a well-known quest style and makes it unique. There's stuff like that you could do. Honestly, if you know of like Defiance, that game, the Arc Falls, those were really fun world events. You could do stuff like that. There's there's just so many things, and especially with like world events, Destiny has done so many thanks to like, oh, there's a... I'm just trying to think of what all of them would be. Because there was stuff like the Warsats that crash on like, I know they happen on like the moon. And you just defend it, fight an enemy, and go. You could have something like that that leads into, oh, you gotta go into this building, or find a boss, or go into a building and then there's like a little mini dungeon you have to clear. There's just so many little things like that that would make interesting encounters and really make what's become kind of the tried and true methods of games and take it and flip it on its head. And realistically, that game, I mean, it is free to play now, but it's so barely maintained that so many people immediately quit playing because you have to download the game through Steam, open up the launcher, make an account with the third-party service for the company, then you have to run like a patcher, then you have to do like a verify file integrity thing. It's so many stupid steps that shouldn't exist that a bunch of people are like, nah, I'm not screwing with this. And it also sucks to the creator who wrote all this stuff. He isn't there anymore. I think when they sold to Funcom, the guy had left. And it's a shame because his work was phenomenal. Plus, the game did what nobody else is willing to do. Lovecraftian, like, horror mixed with folkloric fantasy in the modern day. I'm so tired of every Lovecraft themed game being like, hey, and I've said this before, you're drunk detective man who got out of World War I and are now in Foggy Town, Maine, where the fish people are looking at you weird. I want to roll up into a modern day town where you have otherworldly horrors and I just glock them into the dirt. What's wrong with that? Modern day setting would be really fun. Of course, if Wizards was operating with half a functioning brainstem within their higher-ups, they would do that with D20 Modern, revive it, then go, hey, here's a Lovecraftian mythos source book. Have fun, everybody. Of course, you'd still get the people who are like, oh my god, his cat had the N-word in its name. It's like, yeah, his dad named the cat. Also, it was the 20s. Doesn't excuse it, but it explains it. Now, if someone named their cat N-word man now, yeah, that's a problem. That's a little much. If I knew someone who was like, oh, I'm gonna name my cat that, I'd look at him and be like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? Name your cat Boots or Mittens like everyone else. Don't be a weirdo. But back then, yeah, sure. I still think you're probably a weirdo, even in the 20s, for naming your cat that, but at least it's something I understand a little more. But yeah, I want the Secret World or something similar to come back. We lost out on Hellgate London, we've lost out on so many good games, and nothing has really stepped in to take the place of them. Oh, I'm actually, like, tapped out on space. Okay, let's just... I'm saving myself the trouble. I already know that nothing's gonna be worthwhile. Toss all these blueprints in the storage. Toss all the intel. Wow, I have a lot of these. God, and they're all awful. Hey, do you want like one stat? You know what? I'm not even gonna mess with them. I'm just gonna mulch all of them. I don't care.
Did you verify the coordinates?
I'm Inquisitor Corax.
Change of plans.
Oh yeah, level. So I have a passive point. Huh. Area of effect increase. That's nice. Damage bonus for area of effect. Oh, that's very specific. Tarantula turret. If I had the points, that would actually be kind of cool to get. But at that point, I'm probably just gonna keep going with, like, life drain. Just make my constructs even sturdier.
Tech Priest, a logical first step would be to access the data vault of the port to find that hideout.
Correct. As per the decree of tech preservation, the maintenance of our sacred data vaults is a priority, even on temporarily uninhabitable worlds.
First, I need to find a cogitator to access the port data vault.
Filing personal addendum. Your initiative is commendable as someone not wholly indoctrinated into the ways of the cult Mechanicus.
I just remembered while loading in, when I was hanging out with one of my friends recently, he had never played Elden Ring. He actually had never played any Souls game before. I was like, yeah, I'll bring over Elden Ring, you can play that. So I had him play Elden Ring, and it was pretty funny, because he died fighting Soldier of Godric. But I mean, for essentially his first Souls game, I'm not surprised. But it was amusing just watching him lose to it. Because I was like, you know what, make your own character. He asked me like, oh, what about this? He had looked up stuff to have an idea. And so he sat there, had an idea what he wanted. He picked the Confessor like I did for the YouTube playthrough. And it was really funny to me because he's sitting there fighting and he's like, here, do you want to do this? And I was like, I can do it, but you know, it's neither here nor there. I'm here to have you try it. And he's like, no, I want to see how you do. So I'm sitting there going into a couple of the starting dungeons, just fighting the bosses, going hitless. He's like, how are you so good? I was like, dude, I have spent an obscene amount of time playing this game. I have played every Souls game except Sekiro. I've been doing this for years. It's just kind of reflex and pattern recognition, especially with bosses. I ended up losing a couple times to Margit because I was not leveled and geared for it. But I'd sit there and just dodge entire combos. And it was funny. I do appreciate the reaction of thinking I'm amazing at it because I'm really not. But he's like, oh, I'm so terrible at this. I was like, you've never played a Souls game and I just kind of threw you in. It's not that surprising that you're struggling. The fact that he understood what was going on in the first place is always impressive. It was funny, it's like, it's a bit overwhelming. I said, it's everything is overwhelming when you first get into it, but and I kept reiterating, it's pattern recognition and muscle memory. Once you figure out how to dodge, you can just start rolling through every attack. Once you figure out the timing on spells, you can just start chucking fireballs last second. It's like fighting the Knights Cavalry. Had the toughest time for the longest time fighting those. Recently on another character I was doing for fun, I was really low level. I'm just like, yeah, let's go fight the Knights Cavalry. And I was just bodying them left and right. I think that was my Strength Arcane build. Yeah, because I was using poison, and I was just poisoning their steed.
This is interesting. This retinue was working,
which was really funny to poison them and then just wallop the guys while they're on the ground.
I presume the contingent was trying to eradicate the local tyrannid threat.
Quite the contrary. They were trying to gain control of the Xenos population.
I keep an open mind, but even I find that idea hard to swallow. On another note, the data slate contains location tags for their home base.
Where is it?
We have no information as yet. The tech priest is working on it.
It does kind of throw me off, though, because I forget some people don't play stuff. Like, as much as my friend is a big D&D player, he did not know about, like, the Pathfinder, Kingmaker, or Wrath of the Righteous games. And when I told him about them, he's like, oh, I'm gonna have to find those now. I was like, yeah, they're pretty good. I guess it makes sense. Not everybody plays games as much as I do. Not everybody it's their thing. Just always surprises me. It's kind of like, I can't remember what the term is exactly, but there's a term for the realization that everyone around you is living their own lives, having their own struggles, doing their own thing. You know, it's something that you kind of forget a lot of times. Because we're all wrapped up in our own worlds and our own struggles and strife, that you forget, like, driving through a city. Every house is 1 to, let's say, an average of maybe 4 to 5 people. 1 to maybe 5 people going about their lives. People going to school, college, going to work, going through tough breakups, divorces, marriages, people losing those they love, people finding those they love. There's a lot going on at any given time. So what's kind of neat in the world is, once you remember stuff like that, it's like, oh yeah, there's infinite things going on. And to a degree, it's exciting in its own way. But I think it lends itself to its own weird realization. Like, people forget every house has people in it and everybody's living their own lives. And then you think that's one town, and there's countless towns across the country, across the continent, across the world. It's like trying to imagine 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, 100,000 people, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, 1 billion. At a certain point, you're no longer able to really conceptualize it anymore. because you reach a point where everything blurs together. And that kind of applies with people. Like, you know there's people everywhere, it's just there's so many people that you forget there's that many people. And imagine if we were able to colonize other worlds. That could apply across entire solar systems. It's interesting, all things considered. I have to run all the way over here. You know what would be a really cool feature for this game, or similar games? A sprint button. Like, you click a stick, and what it does is it then makes it so you move 2 to 3 times as fast, maybe 2 times as fast, but you can't attack. This way, when it comes to things like this, I can just sprint all the way there. Because otherwise, this is a long kind of jaunt over here just to probably hack a computer. 1 data terminal, and then I'm turning around and running all the way back.
Activation sounds initialized.
Reaching the data vault has failed. You need to power up the auxiliary mainframe.
Send me the coordinates to that mainframe.
Yeah, so now I have to go back all the way there. So that'd be a nice little feature. And I think that's kind of the kicker too, is this is one of those ideas where it's like, it's not a problem on the development side until it gets to the consumer side. Because the developer is probably thinking, oh, well, the objective is close, they'll go do the objective. Disregarding the fact that you can't see where you have to go initially because you don't get the map. If we got the map from, off the rip, sure, that wouldn't be a problem because I'd be able to plot out my path. But otherwise, I like to clear everything as I go, and sometimes these mistakes happen.
It's still to access the auxiliary mainframe, Inquisitor.
I'm working. In case you haven't noticed, I've run into some resistance.
The altercation has definitely been noticed and recorded for potential post-mortem evaluation.
Oh my god, I just remembered another thing. Did you see that there's going to be new Lord of the Rings movies? I don't know how I feel about it. Because on one hand, yes, there's a lot of lore they can go into. On the other hand, I'm cool with what we have. I don't really need more. I don't want it to be some kind of Star Wars sequels kind of deal where the dead speak and then suddenly you have Sauron walking out of Mount Doom being like, damn, they burned my ring. Oh well.
See that Vox station? There's an...
Because that's my concern, is just we end up getting stuck with some really wimpy, poorly written and completely untrue to the lore explanation of things, or just struggling going, oh god, what do people like? Well, people know and like Sauron. Okay, bring him back. Oh, who else do they like? Gollum. Okay, do something with Gollum. Didn't he fall into the volcano? Yeah, make him a ghost or something. That's always worrying. Yeah, if they do like other lore and stuff from the Silmarillion, cool. But we also kind of have that with Rings of Power. But Rings of Power also uses just the appendices and some letters. So it's not even proper use of the Silmarillion. It's like playing a game of telephone regarding that whole book, which is annoying. No, I don't see this going as well as Warner Brothers thinks it'll go. Which sucks, because I'd like it to go well, but I really think the reason this is happening and the problem is we've had so many... we've had so many shows where it's an original... Either it's an original concept that does bad, or it's an original concept that they just slap a brand on, like the Resident Evil show. Where they're like, oh, well, put Resident Evil on it, that'll make it sell. And then it got ripped to shreds, rightfully so. It's these companies going, oh, damn, that didn't work. What do we have that already exists so we don't have to worry about creative issues or a new show going bad? Let's just use those again. It'd be like making a Star Trek Deep Space Nine 2. Do we need it? No. Is it going to be poorly written? Probably. That's why I was worried when I'd see stuff about Stargate SG-1. As much as I want a new Stargate show, I don't know where they would go with it. Mostly because the last few seasons, the Ori were not a fun villain. They just visually were really bland. Storyline were really boring. They just weren't fun. The Goa'uld were fun. I loved the idea of aliens masquerading as all of the deities throughout humanity's history. I thought that was such a cool concept. And it's like I wanted more of that. But you really can't do that. You could, realistically, not all the system lords are dead. But I don't know if it would ever happen. And then you had... God, what else? There's been a few shows. There was Babylon 5. There's been talk of that coming back. Once again, love Babylon 5, but I'm pretty worried how it would go because I always remember the writing in that being really good. Like the guy who pretended he was a knight, but it turned out he was actually suffering from extreme PTSD because he was a soldier. Or the doctor, I can't remember his name, essentially abusing stimulants to keep working because it was a combination of stress and anxiety, and he just didn't want to stop working and doing his best to help people, and everybody having to kind of step in and be like, look, you need to stop this. And him slowly kind of coming to grips with it and being like, yeah. Because I'll always remember the line he said where, I'm alive, everything else is negotiable. Always like that line. And it's like, I don't know if we're going to get that kind of stuff. Writing lately feels really heavy-handed. Granted, it's always been that way to a degree. I mean, there was the Star Trek episode for original series where it was the guys who were split down the middle, half white, half black. And one group hated the other because their right half was white and their left half was black instead of their right half being black. I don't remember. Whatever the opposite is. As I said it, my brain just kind of shut off. But the other side was the inverse of what the one side was. And it was essentially a very kind of ham-fisted morality issue on discrimination. Did it work? Yeah. Was it pretty ham-fisted because of how the characters looked? Yeah. But at least it worked. I don't know, I don't want stuff to go bad. Even though, regardless of what happens, Babylon 5 got a new series. Even if it's bad, I'd still have the old stuff. Same as with with Stargate, if for some reason I would love this, if someone decided to do a new X-Files, but I don't know. I feel like you'd have to almost reboot the X-Files, and that is a tall order. Because, like, how do you beat out David Duchovny? It's tough. And I feel like there's nobody to really take their place.
What is this unauthorized deployment, Tech Priest?
Displaying necessary.
Hey, now we gotta defend him.
Information, Inquisitor. I will record your combat for further analysis. First, I found your intrusion bothersome, but I realize that your presence here grants me the opportunity to study the combat patterns of the Tyranids more thoroughly. You are doing the work of the Omnissiah.
It's like I'd love to see like an XCOM style show, kind of a group of people fighting an alien invader, but it's a lot of work. That'd be something I could see in like on like the Sci-Fi Channel, but they're too busy making really bad shows and rerunning Harry Potter for the 80th time this week. I wish I was being sarcastic about the Harry Potter bit, too. It's constant. It's so tired of seeing that on there. I'm like, you're sci-fi. Please, literally do anything with science fiction.
Inquisitor.
I have spent decades working on my synaptic swader generator unit, but it was a failure. I set out to build a device that could control the Tyranids, and it was deemed impossible. But I can't give up on my vision yet.
That's like how they canceled Z Nation. As goofy as that show was, I did appreciate it simply because it didn't take itself too seriously. Like the episode about Z-weed, a type of pot that got zombies stoned and made them passive. That's funny. We already have stuff like The Walking Dead for when you want a super serious zombie show. Sometimes I just want something goofy. Hey, we got a space marine. I just noticed that.
Indicate another wave of Tyranids, Inquisitor.
More tarantula turrets. If they close in on Ark, they're just gonna get riddled with holes.
My misguided brother there is getting frustrating, Inquisitor. Just like your unwelcome visit. I know you want to judge me, but I seek to save the Imperium. These organisms pose a huge threat. But if we could find a way to control them one day, just think about the potential.
bioscans show no more incoming hostiles. Also, data analysis complete. Voidport structural records have been processed. The location of the underground facility is available.
Excellent. It is time to pay a visit to that treacherous madman.
Huh, I didn't know it's actually connected. Let's see if there's any loot on the far end, though, before we leave. Probably nothing, but maybe there'll be something. Oh, there might be something. It keeps going, and it's just a guy. Yeah, sure, it's a champion. Let's build up that meter a little bit more. Who am I to say no to extra meter? Gets us closer to fighting another Revenant. Yeah, let's do some comparing. Ooh, that is actually... Damn, that's really good. Ah, and it's, of course, it's a beta carbine. That's a kick in the nuts. You know what, we can still do it, because we still have all the slots. We have the armor, girdle, and the 2 free, so we can do all our summons. I just want to do this because it's the 16% XP gain, range damage bonus, always a good up, chance to poison on physical skill hit, those attacks are physical skill hits, range damage bonus for constructs, damage bonus for constructs against regular enemies, so they can at least chew through garbage. Yeah, that's a solid pick, for being honest. God, I'd love for more than 2 stat. So I would lose XP by using this one, but I gain... Yeah, that's actually just a better... That's overall better. Why not? Trying to talk myself into it like I need to. See, the bonus loot quantity would be nice, but okay, the energy shield, let's just ignore it. It's not worth it. The 5 HP is useful. Yeah, let's just go for it. It's better damage, but everything else is kind of meh. And I mean, I got 3 slots in this baby. Those are trash. God, I have a lot of stuff. Not doing 2 stat or 2 trait items. You can't make me. See, I don't like these that are really specific, like 5% damage bonus for the flame stream skill of the tarantula turret, 5% for the flame, or 4.5% for the flame stream skill of the castellan. That's getting real particular in what I can use that for, and I don't really vibe with it. I could get even more XP. Now, I'm not gonna sit here and do like a level farming build, even though I probably could. No. For AoE, I have no AoE skills, so that's completely moot. Loot quantity goes down a little bit, but suppression regen... No. No. It's not worth it. Realistically, 25 suppression regen will take me 4 seconds to reach 1/48th of my suppression. So it's not exactly paying out dividends real easy. Another... See, that would be nice, but I don't like these skill-specific, construct-specific skills or traits. That's so... It's minutia to the point of being annoying. Just these minor things. It's like, oh, you have to do this very specific build, or you can't get the maximum or even a decent payout on this. Ooh, that's actually really good. But that's my neural implant. Actually, it's a flat-out improvement. I don't care about the data flux too much. And the damage bonus against feared enemies, I don't think I can fear. God, this is gonna make my actual radium carbine just slap super hard. Oh, I should probably put stuff into dots then. Yeah, let's start working. I'm spreading out across like 3 skill trees. It's gonna be annoying. But it's whatever. And that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.